Welcome to this edition of Tour Confidential on Golf.com. I'm Jessica Marksbury. Joining me in studio today, Cameron Morfitt, and via Skype, our great friend Shane O'Donoghue. And Shane, the season has been a little bit lackluster so far, of course, with the exception of Bubba Watson's Masters win. But now that Rory has won the BMW PGA Championship at Wentworth, has he single-handedly saved what was kind of a so-so season thus far?
I'm not sure that he's the man who saved it, but he certainly has rescued, a lot of us from falling into a period of apathy, because the season itself has been stuttering along. We've had a couple of exceptional performances. Jimmy Walker, winning multiple times. He doesn't really push the needle, though, in my opinion. Patrick Reed, flattered to deceive, also a multiple winner, who talked a very good game, but has absolutely not registered since that wonderful victory at Doral. So, we needed the superstars to step up to the plate. They've had a couple of chances. They really haven't managed to get it across the line. Notably, Adam Scott, at Bay Hill, we were kind of wondering what was he going to do, and he didn't really get it together over the weekend at all, which was quite disappointing. He's now made #1, and to see him win last week, I thought was very impressive, and the way that he did it, at a wonderful course that is not really suited to his game. So I think, he's going to be very much a factor at the US Open, although he has not really performed so well at the US Open. But Rory is the real one to watch. And I thought that the way that he's performed so far this year, with so many top tens, both on the PGA Tour and on the European Tour, and now to get that crucial victory, I think he really has turned the corner, and it's just going to be a very exciting summer. Whether it's going to amount to a US Open victory, well, I think we can certainly put him up there amongst the top favourites for all of the majors now, genuinely.
It's interesting that you mentioned Adam Scott. Of course, the panel last week was saying how Adam Scott just doesn't seem to move the needle, although it's like, why doesn't he? He's super good looking. He has a beautiful golf swing. He's now #1 in the world. You would think this is, as we've said before, the second coming of Greg Norman. And yet it's Rory that we all seem to root for and love the most.
Well, Rory is exciting on a number of levels, and one is he's younger than Scott. He's 25. The upside for Rory is much, much bigger than Scott. We don't know how good Rory can get. He also has already won more majors than Scott, and he's only 25. Scott's in his 30s. Rory's a better putter than Scott, and Scott is actually next year going to start to have to figure out how to putt with a regular-sized putter. So, the upside with Rory is I'm going to say he did save 2014, because I was starting to nod off there for a second. And we've seen how he runs off victories in bunches. This is what happened in 2012. He won the PGA. He won 2 FedEx Cup events. He's an exciting, dynamic player. I really do think him winning the BMW PGA Championship has really energized this season. And it was lacking. Phil was not playing well. Tiger is pretty much out. So it was there was a huge sort of opportunity for the next big star to come along and do something, and he did it.
Shane, what are your thoughts on Rory's chances at Pinehurst? Is that a course that sets up well for him?
I was there a couple of weeks ago, Jessica, and it's a tricky course. It's certainly going to be a long course, but it's the greens really are going to be the X factor in this particular equation. So we saw signs certainly at Wentworth of Rory really getting it together with his short game, and he kind of snuck up. But that's the beauty of Rory, and that is why he pushes the needle. That is why I suppose he's rescuing the season in many respects, because he's got that box office quality, and I think that we're going to see Rory really handle it well. He's going to be there for a couple of days. There's going to be a lot of intense practice, with a lot of the experts on hand at Pinehurst. He's really done his homework this time in advance of the trip, and I'm sure he'll put in a lot of hours on Pinehurst's #2 course for a couple of days next week in advance of this US Open. And I'm really fancying his chances. I think it's all coming together, and the timing is absolutely perfect.
Well, we're now only 2 weeks away from the US Open at Pinehurst, and it looks like the battle for #1 is only going to intensify over those next 2 weeks. So Shane, Cameron, thank you so much for your time and insight. Thank you all for joining us on this edition of Tour Confidential. We'll see you next week.